Have you ever stopped and asked yourself why some people seem to reach their 90s with ease, still walking, smiling, and telling their favorite stories, while others struggle to even make it past 80, even though on the outside they seemed perfectly fine? Think about it for a second. Maybe it was your grandmother who seemed healthy one year, and then suddenly, everything changed. Or maybe it was a neighbor who always waved from the porch, but within a few short months, you noticed they weren't outside anymore. It leaves you wondering, what happened? Here's the truth, this isn't just about birthdays or blowing out candles on a cake. It's not even just about aging. There are hidden reasons, silent, invisible issues, that quietly chip away at those extra years. Years that could have been spent watching grandchildren grow up, sipping tea in the morning sun, or laughing with family around the dinner table. And that's what makes this conversation so important. Because if you understand these hidden reasons, you can catch them early. You can make small, powerful changes that may give your loved ones not just more years, but better years, years filled with comfort, dignity, and joy. Today, we're going to uncover 4 of the most overlooked health challenges that shorten life after 80. These aren't the obvious things you hear about every day. These are the quiet factors, the ones most families don't even notice until it's too late. By the end of this video, you'll not only know what they are, but also how to gently and lovingly support yourself or your loved ones before it's too late. But before we dive in, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever noticed little changes in an elderly parent, a grandparent, or even yourself, things you brushed off as just getting older? If so, you're not alone. Comment, "I'm here," down below if you want to learn how to recognize those hidden signs early. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Tips, because every day, we share guidance that can make a real difference in the lives of seniors and their families. Now, let's begin. Let's start with the first hidden health reason, something most families never notice until it's too late: silent malnutrition. Picture this with me for a moment. A grandmother who once baked bread every Sunday, filling the whole house with that warm, comforting smell, now pushes her plate away, saying she just isn't hungry. Maybe she tells you food doesn't taste the same anymore. Maybe she says she's fine with just a cup of tea. To her family, it feels harmless. They smile, shake their heads, and say, "That's just how old age is." But inside her body, something serious is happening. She is quietly starving, not for lack of food, but because her body and her appetite are no longer working the way they once did. See, as people age, a lot changes in ways you can't always see. The sense of taste becomes dull, making meals less enjoyable. Digestion slows down. The body absorbs nutrients less effectively than before. And here's the surprising part: malnutrition doesn't always look like someone wasting away or becoming visibly skinny. Sometimes it shows up as constant weakness, low energy, memory slips, confusion, or even frequent infections. It sneaks in quietly, wearing down the body from the inside. This is where families often get it wrong. They see their loved one eating less and think, "Oh, she's just older, she doesn't need as much." They notice someone losing weight and assume it's a natural part of aging. But the truth is, malnutrition is one of the fastest ways to accelerate frailty, weaken the immune system, and shorten a person's lifespan. What looks like normal aging can, in reality, be the body crying out for nourishment. So, what can you do? The key isn't to force big meals. In fact, that often makes things worse. Instead, focus on small, nutrient-rich portions throughout the day. A smoothie with fruits and yogurt. A bowl of warm, nourishing soup. A fortified shake that's easier to drink than a heavy meal. Even something as simple as a handful of nuts or a slice of avocado toast can provide strength and energy without overwhelming the appetite. Because here's the truth, it's not always about eating more, it's about eating smarter. And sometimes, it's about paying attention to the little things your loved one doesn't say out loud. When you see that quiet loss of interest in food, don't brush it off. That's the moment to step in gently, with care and creativity. But here's the thing, even when the nutrition side is taken care of, there's another hidden health enemy that works just as quietly. Something we tend to blame on aging itself. Something that steals strength, independence, and even confidence. And that brings us to the second hidden health reason. The one almost everyone overlooks until it's far too late: declining mobility and a sedentary lifestyle. Imagine this for a moment. An elderly man who once loved his morning walks, he'd greet neighbors, feel the sun on his face, and even brag about how many steps he'd taken. But now, he spends most of his day sitting in his chair, maybe with the TV on in the background. His family thinks, well, he's earned his rest. He's just tired. But the truth is, inside his body, something much more dangerous is happening. His muscles are shrinking, his joints are stiffening, and his circulation is slowing down. Bit by bit, his strength is slipping away, not because of age alone, but because of inactivity. You see, after the age of 60, the body naturally begins to lose muscle at a rate of 3 to 5% every decade. That might sound small, but over time, it adds up quickly. And when movement stops, the decline speeds up. The heart becomes weaker, bones lose density, and balance becomes fragile. This is why so many seniors are at greater risk of falls, and as you know, a single fall can change everything. Here's where the misunderstanding often happens. Families think rest is safe. They think, don't push dad too hard. Don't let grandma overdo it. Just let them relax. But here's the painful truth: too much rest is not safe. Too much rest quietly speeds up the decline. The body, like a machine, is designed to move. When it stops moving, it breaks down much faster. But there's good news here too. You don't need marathons or heavy exercise to keep the body strong. Even gentle movement can make all the difference. Chair yoga, light stretching, a few minutes of walking around the house, or even tending to a garden, these small actions add up. They keep muscles active, joints flexible, and the heart engaged. They preserve independence, so that your loved one doesn't need help with every small task. Most importantly, they add quality years to life, not just time. So, when you see your loved one sitting all day, don't just hand them the remote. Hand them encouragement. Invite them to move, even if it's just for a few minutes at a time. Movement is medicine, and it's often the one thing that stands between aging with dignity and aging with struggle. But here's the thing, even when nutrition is cared for, and even when mobility is maintained, there's still another hidden enemy. One that doesn't show itself clearly, but instead hides behind common excuses like, I'm just tired, or, it's nothing. And now, let's talk about the third hidden health reason. Undiagnosed cardiovascular strain. Consider this scenario. You have an elderly aunt who always brushes things off. She says, I'm fine, I just get tired sometimes. Maybe she laughs and waves away your concern when you notice her slowing down on the stairs or breathing a little heavier than before. But here's what most people don't realize, that constant fatigue might not just be age catching up. It could be her heart working harder than it should, quietly struggling in the background. The truth is, the heart rarely shouts its warnings in old age. Instead, it whispers. High blood pressure builds silently. Arteries become stiff, reducing blood flow little by little. Small murmurs or irregular beats creep in without obvious pain. Unlike the dramatic chest pain you hear about in movies, these subtle changes wear the heart down slowly, making it harder and harder to survive beyond 80. Here's the part that often gets overlooked: families mistake these early red flags for just getting older. When an elderly loved one says they're tired, dizzy, or short of breath, most people smile and say, well, that's what happens when you age. But no, those are not just normal signs of aging. They can be the body's quiet cries for help, the early symptoms of heart decline that go unnoticed until it's far too late. And this is why awareness is everything. Simple steps can make a world of difference. Regular checkups can catch hidden issues before they spiral. Staying hydrated keeps the blood flowing smoothly. Gentle, low-impact activities, like short walks, stretching, or swimming, keep the heart active without putting it under strain. Even something as small as sitting upright instead of lying down after meals can reduce pressure on the heart. It's not about turning seniors into athletes. It's about paying attention. It's about not dismissing those little changes that, over time, can decide whether someone enjoys their 80s, or never makes it there at all. And yet, here's something most people don't realize. Even when the body seems to be doing well, when nutrition is managed, when mobility is preserved, when the heart seems steady, there is still another hidden challenge. One that doesn't weaken the body directly, but instead slowly erodes life from the inside. And now we come to the fourth hidden health reason. One that doesn't just affect the body, but reaches into the very core of who a person is: cognitive decline and emotional isolation. Think of that elderly neighbor who once lit up every room with stories from years gone by, the kind of stories you could listen to for hours. Now, you notice they sit quietly, staring off, struggling to remember names, or avoiding conversations altogether. At first, it feels like harmless forgetfulness. Families might shrug it off and say, "Oh, that's just age catching up." But the truth is, what's happening runs much deeper. The mind is not separate from the body, it's the command center. And as research shows, when the brain begins to decline, and when loneliness wraps itself around someone's daily life, it doesn't just affect mood, it shortens life itself. Studies have linked cognitive decline and social isolation to higher risks of dementia, depression, weakened immunity, and even a shorter lifespan. Why? Because the brain thrives on connection, stimulation, and purpose. Without them, it begins to shut down piece by piece. Here's where many families get it wrong. They assume silence is a choice. They say, "He just likes to be alone," or, "She doesn't feel like talking." But isolation is not harmless. In fact, it's been shown to be as dangerous to health as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Loneliness is toxic. It quietly chips away at the will to live, and without that will, even the strongest body weakens. But here's the hopeful part: just like muscles and the heart, the mind can be nurtured. It doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes, it's the simplest routines that keep the mind alive. Encourage conversation, even if it's about small things. Share puzzles, crosswords, or a favorite old song that sparks a memory. Bring laughter back into their day. A daily walk with a friend, phone calls with loved ones, or simply having someone listen without rushing them can make all the difference. Because in those moments, the brain is being fed, not with food, but with connection, purpose, and love. So, when you notice someone withdrawing, don't just let them fade into silence. Step in with gentle encouragement. Create moments of joy, however small they may be. Because protecting the mind and heart is just as important as protecting the body. And remember this: these hidden reasons aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to prepare you. Because awareness is the first step toward adding not just years to life, but life to years. Watching a loved one change, whether it's eating less, moving less, or forgetting more, isn't easy. In fact, it can feel like you're losing them piece by piece. You remember who they once were, the strength in their voice, the sparkle in their eyes, the independence they carried with pride. And then, little by little, you start noticing the shifts. Meals left unfinished. Days spent sitting quietly in the same chair. Stories they once told with laughter now slipping from memory. It's heartbreaking, because in those moments, you realize time is moving faster than you thought. But here's something important to hold on to. Instead of feeling helpless, you now have something many families don't: awareness. You have the eyes to notice what others might dismiss. And with that awareness comes the power to act, not with fear, not with panic, but with love. Love that pays attention. Love that listens. Love that steps in gently, offering support before it's too late. Think about it, every small choice you make can become a turning point. A smoothie shared at breakfast instead of skipping a meal. A short walk together instead of another long afternoon of sitting. A doctor's appointment encouraged instead of postponed. Or even a simple conversation that reminds your loved one they're not alone. These small actions, done with consistency and care, create ripples that can add months, even years, of meaningful life. So, if you've noticed even one of these signs, don't wait. Don't brush it off. Today, not tomorrow, is the time to act. Sit with your loved one. Listen without rushing. Encourage without pushing. Remind them, in your words and in your actions, that their life still has purpose, still has value, still has love surrounding it. Because life beyond 80 is not just possible, it can be beautiful. It can be filled with joy, laughter, dignity, and peace. And it doesn't happen by chance. It happens when love, patience, and awareness guide the journey. And you, right now, have the chance to be part of that journey. Remember, aging doesn't have to mean fading. It can mean living fully, even in the smallest ways, when the right care, the right attention, and the right love are in place. To recap. The 4 hidden reasons many older people struggle to live beyond 80 are: silent malnutrition, declining mobility, undiagnosed cardiovascular strain, and cognitive decline paired with isolation. These aren't just medical terms, they're daily realities that families often overlook. But now you know what to look for. And with that knowledge, you hold the key to making a difference. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these signs have you noticed in your loved ones, or maybe even in yourself? Have you seen a parent skipping meals, a grandparent slowing down, or a neighbor becoming more withdrawn? Share your experiences in the comments below. Because your story, your small piece of wisdom, could be the very thing another family needs to hear today. This channel is not just about information, it's about community. When you speak up, you help build a space where no family has to feel alone in this journey. And if you found this video helpful, I invite you to like it and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Tips. Every day, we share powerful yet practical insights designed to help seniors live longer, healthier, and happier lives. By subscribing, you're not just supporting the channel, you're joining a movement dedicated to honoring and caring for the people who cared for us first. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for caring enough to seek knowledge that can change lives. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, every small act of care makes a big difference. Sometimes it's not the big gestures, but the quiet, consistent ones that truly add life to the years. This is not the end of the conversation, it's just the beginning. Keep learning, keep sharing, and keep showing love in action. Because together, we can help our elderly not just survive, but truly thrive. I'll see you in the next video.